welcome. It's indisputable. I'm your host, Rashad Richey. Good to be with you. We have a lot on the agenda today. Breaking down news of the day, none other than the incomparable Sharon Reed. Always fascinating to have her brilliance on the program. Top story of the day, we have an update. Ladies and gentlemen, a judge has decided to release the mother of Leavitt's nephew, who had been arrested by ICE for overstaying her visa back from when she was a child. We have been bringing you the updates to this saga. Now we have more details, put it up for mass, interesting development. Here's where we are. In an update, Bruna Ferreira, the mother of White House Press Secretary Karoline Leavitt's nephew, has been ordered released on bond from federal immigration custody. Immigration judge Cynthia Goodman on Monday granted bond to Ferreira, who had been held more than 1,500 miles away from the Massachusetts community where she was arrested. Attorneys said the $1,500 bond was, quote, the lowest amount allowed under the law. So it gives you an indication of where the judge is at on this. And noted that in court documents, or in court, her lawyer argued, quote, she's not a danger, she's not a flight risk. The government's lawyer did not contest the claim and waived the appeal. So understand that she is one of the most unlikely individuals to flee, because a great anchor for her, obviously, is her home life, which is here in the United States of America. She knows nobody in Brazil, doesn't even speak the language, and has been in the United States of America since she was a child. There's more. Ferreira's case has drawn a lot of attention because, well, of her history with Michael Leavitt. Michael Leavitt is the brother of Trump's press secretary. And there's a background to that. The pair share custody of their 11-year-old son, whom Ferreira was driving to pick up in New Hampshire when she was arrested, according to her attorney. The White House claimed that Ferreira was a criminal who never lived with her child and was an absentee parent. This was a false narrative. However, Ferreira and Leavitt were previously engaged to be married. We have proof of that, and lived together prior to their breakup in 2015 and have been co-parenting for a decade. Another element of the story is that, according to an allegation, it was Mr. Leavitt who threatened the mother of his child with deportation. And then all of a sudden, she gets arrested to be deported. He goes on record and says he had nothing to do with the arrest or pending deportation proceedings. And I made the point yesterday that the standard isn't, did he do it? The standard is he fighting tooth and nail to stop it from happening? Because that is still the mother of his child. And I would fight tooth and nail to make sure that the mother of my child never spent a day outside of anywhere she wanted to be in the United States of America or beyond. There's more. A Washington Post report detailed the pair's messy split and a custody battle over their son. We knew it had to be something else. In court, both Ferreira and Michael Leavitt accuse each other of abuse and neglect. Leavitt sought primary custody of their son, claiming Ferreira had pushed him during an argument. She denied those claims in court filings and accused Michael of abuse, saying that on the day of her baby shower, he drunkenly pushed her, punched the walls, and broke doors. Over the past decade, multiple judges have ordered the couple to share custody and resolve their differences. outside of court, according to the report. In 2021, the couple agreed that their son would live with his father during the week while attending school in New Hampshire, while his mother would visit and take him home with her on the weekends, according to court records. Ferreira also had permission to take him to Brazil to secure his dual citizenship, according to the report, which would mean either the court or the parent gave that permission. Ferreira's legal status had long been a point of contention in her relationship with Michael Leavitt, according to the report. After they broke up, she noted in court records that he had previously threatened to try to get her deported. In text messages to the Post, Michael Leavitt denied involvement in her arrest. Quote, "I had no involvement in her being picked up by ICE." He said, quote, "I have no control over that and no involvement in that whatsoever." End quote. Now, to me, this is called plausible deniability. Maybe he did not have any direct contact with a member of ICE or an executive with ICE, but his sister is the mouthpiece for ICE de facto. And he threatened deportation of the mother of his child. What kind of man does that? The mother of his child. I'm sure even if he has lost love for his once fiancée, that his son still very much so loves and needs his mother. Period. There's more. Meanwhile, Ferreira said that Michael Leavitt and his father, Mr. Bob Leavitt, have recently tried to convince her to self-deport and try to return legally. Her lawyer says she has no criminal record. If she were to self-deport, she will be barred from coming back to the United States for a decade, according to the report. The department has previously insisted Ferreira has, quote, is a criminal illegal alien from Brazil. That's a direct quote from the department, who overstayed her tourist visa in 1999. Her lawyers disputed that characterization, that she was a criminal, and Ferreira told the Wall Street Journal in a story published Sunday that, quote, trusting Leavitt was a mistake. Attorney Jeffrey Rubin said Ferreira was a former DACA recipient who slipped into limbo status when the program came under attack during Trump's first term. Rubin said, quote, she looks forward to reuniting with her son and getting back to her life as a hard-working business owner, end quote. DHS, Department of Homeland Security, they confirmed that Ferreira was granted bond and will be required to have periodic mandatory check-ins with ICE law enforcement to ensure she is abiding by the terms of her release. Ferreira is expected to return to Massachusetts once ICE processes her release, and her case will be transferred back to Boston Immigration Court. What a sensational, extreme story that likely is birthed out of a conflict between Mr. Leavitt and his appetite to see his own victory in a custody battle over his son. And at the end of the day, the only one who loses is the child in the middle. To deport or even self-deport, knowing that the current status says if you do so, you are not eligible for return. But 10 years, they knew this and they still try to convince her to leave. And when she refused to self-deport because of the paperwork wrangling that happened in Trump term one, which gives her this limbo status. She refused to self-deport. She then gets threatened with deportation and then gets arrested by ICE soon after. All right, Sharon, thoughts here?
Number one, I'm not going anywhere without my child, and neither is she. Okay. Number two, Doc, you'd be familiar with, and I believe it's a legal term as well as a lay term, self help, which is exactly what this man tried to do when he could not beat her in court to get the desired outcome. He resorted to self help, my opinion, and his famous now relative who's on the news every day telling lies. This is despicable. The child cannot exist in a loving, healthy state without his mother, not in this case.
Right. That's right. We knew that it had to be something more than just, ICE caught a random individual
Dirty.
And pulled up on her, right? It had like basically a SWAT team to pull up while she was driving to, I think it was New Hampshire. But the reality is this. A judge has looked at the case. A judge weighed the evidence, and a judge said, not only do you get to go home, you get to go home with the lowest bond I can legally set in this court, which is $1,500. Do your check-ins with ICE, and hopefully this gets worked out. All right, we'll bring you updates as they come. Very sad. Okay. Well, a black male says he was falsely accused of vaping, even though he had no vaping access, had no paraphernalia, on an Alaskan plane. Here it is.
So I am currently being pulled off of the plane for Alaska Airlines for someone saying that I smell like marijuana or a vape.
This is reports from the flight attendants, and the flight attendants got reports from passengers.
He saw me go into the bathroom to use the bathroom to pee.
It's not just the flight attendants.
And then he assumed that because I was in close proximity with other people, that I was the one who was smelling like weed or having a vape. I don't even have a vape now. This is discrimination. I really want to speak to a manager and the police department because I want to file a lawsuit. All these people on this plane, but the black guy who went to the bathroom has a vape. Where is the vape? Yeah, this is a civil issue. It's a major one at that because I'm being falsely accused of something that I did not do. I'm showing the lady, like when I got on the plane, I immediately dropped all of my belongings in my chair. So I went into the restroom with nothing on me. I came right back out the bathroom. So, sir, when did I ever have time to vape and do any of the things that you're accusing me of?
Let's analyze this step by step. Let's put them at full mass. Okay, you're on a plane. Obviously, other people are on this plane. Another passenger who has just as much right and authority says, this guy, I believe, was vaping, or perhaps he smells like marijuana. Well, first of all, vaping and marijuana are two very different things. Second, you've admitted that you have not seen anyone utilize a vaping pen or engage in smoking marijuana. You simply assume it is him. 3, at no point was drug paraphernalia or vaping paraphernalia found to be on the passenger at all. Let's just start there. R.J. Nathaniel, the CEO of Inward Discovery, a consulting firm for creative professionals, was racially profiled, according to him, while on Alaska Airlines earlier this week. He posted about the incident and said, Alaska Air, what happened to me today was unacceptable, discriminatory, and deeply damaging to my character and livelihood. I am publicly documenting this incident because I intend to pursue the appropriate legal action. I was falsely accused and removed from flight SDEVKU, scheduled to depart Seattle to Atlanta at 9:59 a.m. Upon boarding, a flight attendant, Mr. Rizzo, who reported that after I exited the restroom, he believed he detected an odor and claimed it appeared to be a vape and that smelled of cannabis. No vape was found on me. No evidence was ever presented. End quote. Another quote, despite the fact that multiple passengers were boarding from a state where cannabis is legal, I was singled out. The last person seen, and notably, a Black passenger, and treated as though I was responsible based solely on this employee's assumption. I was escorted off the craft. I emptied my belongings in front of the manager on duty at D Gate Jenny to prove I had no vape device. Nothing was found. Even after proving my innocence, I was dismissed with only a customer care phone number and rebooked on a flight 6 hours later. No acknowledgement for wrongdoing, no compensation, no corrective action. So, understand federal law. It is against federal law to smoke or vape or do any of those things on an airplane. It's against the law. It's not just a rule or an administrative policy. It's actually against the law, which means police intervention could be called. And he could legally be searched because they have the prerequisite to engage in the search given the nature of the allegation. Is the allegation correct? Doesn't seem to be. Is the allegation something that should get someone kicked off a plane? Typically, allegations do not. There has to be some level of proof. According to the first encounter, the individual who was explaining to this young man said, oh, well, it wasn't just the flight attendant, other people too. Well, do you have an affidavit, witness reports, anything? Because you don't have evidence whatsoever that this man did anything illegal. Now, here's why this becomes an actual case of civil damage. Not because he was accused of vaping. If he was accused of vaping in an everyday situation, no real damage here because vaping is not illegal. But he was accused of vaping on an airline, which makes it against the law. So you have an accusation of a criminal act, which now is in fact damaging to his reputation. That is why this becomes a civil issue. There's more. When I arrived at the Alaska Airlines service desk at N-Gate, both Carly and the supervisor, Tazi, apologized repeatedly for the situation and directed me to continue filing a formal complaint with customer care. At this time, I have received no resolution, vouchers, or anything. No compensation for loss in my work wages, no accountability for the defamatory assumption made about me. Quote, this incident caused significant public embarrassment and defamation of my character. The handling of this matter raises serious concerns about bias, discriminatory profiling, and misuse of authority. I am requesting that Alaska Airlines leadership and all involved parties address this with urgency. I fully intend to pursue legal action to ensure this is handled appropriately. So Alaska Air put out the following reply to Nathaniel's post, quote, we are genuinely sorry to hear this was your experience. When you feel ready, we kindly ask that you send us a DM so we can provide you with assistance you need. To protect your information, we suggest removing your confirmation code, and to ensure the safety of our employees, we kindly request that you remove their names from your post. Okay? You had opportunity to engage with them. You have to understand the guy went public when he could not get remedy directly. And so social media becomes an avenue for filing or logging a complaint that you will pay attention to. It's unfortunate it has come to that. But you had opportunity to remedy before it went to that space. And yes, it is defamatory to accuse any human being of a criminal act, period, without evidence, without proof, without anything. That is a big no-no. And it was done by way of your own staff. Now, we've seen this happen before with other airlines. Remember this?
As I got my things and walked to the front of the plane and made a left to the jet bridge, I noticed that there was 7 other black men. And that kind of was like, okay, what's happening here? So
for plaintiffs Emmanuel Jean Joseph, Alvin Jackson, and Xavier Veal, Flight 832 was a connection. They'd taken an earlier flight from Los Angeles without issue.
It was just black men. So I started freaking out. I pulled out my phone to record everything.
At any point, did somebody from American say to any of you that you had an offensive odor?
No.
The lawsuit claims over the course of about an hour, the men were kept in the jetway and then moved to the gate area where they were told they'd be rebooked on another flight to New York later that day, and alleges an American employee indicated the complaint about offensive body odor had come from a white male flight attendant. A gate agent seen in the video at one point seems to agree race was a factor in the men getting pulled off the flight.
just because of the color of my skin. Okay.
I do not disagree.
All 3 of them? Really? We covered that as well. All right, Sharon, thoughts here.
So, number one, what should be against the law is stupidity, ongoing stupidity by everyday people. And it's a shame that it's not. This kind of thing is actionable. It's annoying. It's a nuisance. But it also actually, Doc, in my view, puts all of us at risk. When you don't take complaints seriously, planes can go down, hijack, drunk pilot, all of those things can happen. Here, if you had him dead to right enough to kick him off that plane, he's the one that asked you to get a manager and the what? The police, who could have searched him and shown that these were great staffers. Now they'll probably do a switcheroo and pretend that, well, maybe he got rid of it. Instead of searching him on the spot, as you said, this would be a criminal offense that puts lives in jeopardy potentially. Yep. This is stupidity. It's ignorance, and racism hurts all of us, and it puts lives in danger. His reputation's damaged. He should be compensated for that. And those people should be, you know me, even in these times, I'm getting ready to fire people. I'm tired of this. I don't believe you can retrain other people who don't have common sense, but you're nicer than I am.
Well, I do believe that they need to be fired or some significant remedial training. But the reality is this: they have put significant liability back on the airline itself, because as agents of the airline, they decided to engage in defaming a passenger by claiming they committed a criminal offense by providing no evidence to the fact. We're going to continue to bring you updates to that as it develops. Okay, well, Seth, Congress, illegal airstrikes. So Congress is now withholding Pentagon travel funds until boat strikes are reviewed fully. We're going to bring you this story, put them up for a mass. Now, Trump said when it first happened that he was going to release this, whatever they have, and then follow-up came, and Trump said, no. I didn't say that. It's called murder. It's killing people. No due process. It's against the Constitution. So this year, at least 87 people have died from U.S. military strikes targeting alleged drug traffickers in the Caribbean and Pacific. Now, Congress is set to withhold Pentagon travel funds until boat strikes are reviewed. They're demanding the video evidence. That man right there is a head. He's the head of the Department of War, as it has been renamed. Keep his picture up. Why is this such a big deal? Well, because Congress has the constitutional right of oversight. It is part of your co-equal branches. That's why. We have already had top military personnel resign because they believe these orders are completely illegal. Congress is using its marquee defense bill to force the Pentagon, which it should be no force, they're co-equal, to force the Pentagon into turning over videos of strikes against suspected drug smuggling boats off the coast of Latin America. Now, you have to ask yourself, if everything is on the up and up, if everything is legal, because you know how Trump likes propaganda video, if everything is on the up and up and everything is legal, why is it that they don't want you to see their airstrikes? Could it be that it is so illegal and so egregious to the human conscience that it would cause the most conservative Republican to grasp their pearls? So now they're playing hide the pickle. When initially they wanted you to know exactly who they were bombing, who they were killing, and that they were somehow being tough on drugs or drug dealers, when the reality is it's all propaganda, it's outside of the context of law, adverse to the Constitution, and murder. Lawmakers plan to withhold a quarter of Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth's travel budget until the Pentagon provides them with the videos. The demand, quietly tucked into the final draft of the annual defense policy bill, calls for, quote, unedited video of strikes conducted against designated terrorist organizations in the area of responsibility of the United States Southern Command to the House and Senate Armed Services Committees. I don't believe Congress is going far enough. That's another breakdown. Congressional leaders released their final draft of their defense bill on Sunday, which is expected to be approved without changes by the House later this week, and then the Senate. The provision appeared as lawmakers look into a controversial follow-up strike on September 2nd that killed 2 survivors of an initial attack, an action some experts warn amounts to a war crime. There's more. Hegseth on Saturday would not say whether he would release the video, citing potential safety concerns for troops, which is insane. But President Donald Trump has said he would have, quote, no problem doing so. The Pentagon chief has publicly backed the decision to kill the survivors, although said that Admiral Frank Bradley, head of U.S. Special Operations Command, made the final call on the second strike. Bradley and Joint Chiefs Chair Dan Kane last week briefed top lawmakers on national security committees and showed the unedited footage of the operation. But lawmakers disagreed about what the video revealed. Some top Republicans who viewed the unedited footage contend it vindicates the administration's position. Democrats have called on the Pentagon to release it more broadly. Senate Armed Services Chair Roger Wicker, Republican out of Mississippi, following the briefing, also said he wants rank and file committee members to see the footage. The provision creates a new wrinkle in how Congress will proceed with an investigation. House Armed Services Ranking Member Representative Adam Smith said the footage contradicts how Hegseth and other Republicans have described it. Quote, if they release the video, then everything that the Republicans are saying will clearly be portrayed to be completely false, he said on ABC's This Week. So the military has killed at least 87 people, as noted in the anti-smuggling operation since September. The administration has said the actions are justified because the people are, quote, narco-terrorists who bring drugs into the U.S. Experts and some lawmakers have said the administration is on legally questionable grounds. The NDAA language also requires the Pentagon to deliver all overdue reports, including lessons learned from their war in Ukraine before releasing the full travel budget. So let me first start with Congress. I don't believe Congress is putting enough teeth into the provision here to leverage the outcome they're looking for. To the U.S. Congress, to the committee, these folks are trying to cover up mass murder. Eliminating a portion of their travel budget is not going to be the kind of leverage that will get them to tell you the truth about the mass murder that they have committed to. Number 2, You're not co-equal to the Department of Defense or the Department of War. You're their oversight. You're co-equal to the executive branch. They should never have the ability to tell you what they will or will not show you based on your congressional power of subpoena and your constitutional right to do so. You are not co-equal to the Department of War. You are their oversight. 3, I don't agree with the legal experts. There is no questionable legal ground here. It's not questionable at all. There is no due process. These are not enemy combatants. Congress is the only constitutional entity that can actually wage war. Congress has waged no such war against these individuals. So no, there is no questionable legal argument. It is illegal, point blank, period. All right, Sharon, thoughts here?
Yeah, it's murder. And all these bums in Washington should not get another dollar and they should all go home. We'd be in the same position, Dr. Ritchie, okay? They've done nothing. They've abdicated their abilities, their authority, their oversight, just as you eloquently pointed out. It's a nothing burger. I don't know why both parties aren't racing to court demanding, give us what you owe us now. And that goes for the party that perhaps will soon be in power again and the one that is twiddling their thumbs in power currently. This is all sicko behavior while we go to work and pay taxes and increase health care, and they do nothing. They allow murder and do not keep us safe.
Yeah, it's very sad that we are forced to fund this kind of oppression. It's our money. And to the U.S. Congress, your job is to make sure in your oversight capacity that our tax dollars are being spent in legal and just ways that reflect the sentiment of the nation, not to reflect the opposite sentiment of the nation. We'll bring you updates as they come. We got more on the other side. It's indisputable. Stick and stay. Indisputable is still the fastest growing news show in America compared to CNN, Fox News, and 30 other networks. We tell the truth on Indisputable because the truth is indisputable. We go places that other news media outlets refuse to go. When there were human rights abuses happening at the Victorville prison, guards and members of the community contacted us.
You, through your investigative reporting, unearthed very troubling allegations about specific forms of abuse and discrimination in the federal prison system.
It really doesn't take much to be a trusted voice. All it takes is to be fearless, report on matters, be an advocate. I called it the bullpen intentionally because it's a place of preparation. We present individuals who may have an opposing view, so we debate. Sometimes we interview individuals because their stories deserve to be heard. A survivor of significant police misconduct and his attorney. We covered this story earlier and to remind you of the horror of one man being shot at damn near 100 times by the police. We take time on this show to showcase the temper tantrums of Karens in the wild. We do this not because we want to see people's emotional outbursts in public, but because these incidents are emblematic of a bigger societal issue taking place across the nation, and it has to be checked. My friend, my big homie, attorney at law, Benjamin Crump.
I just want to thank you, man. Educated, articulate brothers like yourself speak truth to power. It makes a great difference in changing the landscape in America. So
listen, no matter what you do, don't allow the politics of ideology to evaporate the soul that still exists inside of you. They don't stop, I don't stop. Racism won't stop, I won't stop. Systemic bias won't stop, I won't stop. People still need health care, so I won't stop. People still need criminal justice systems reformed, so I won't stop. You won't stop either.
I'm wearing one of our pieces of merchandise. So the funny thing about the Dragon Squad, and that's what our viewers call themselves. That's the name of the group, but every individual chooses their own name. You might have Cincinnati Dragon. You might have Harry Potter dragon. We have a Grandma Sunshine dragon is one of those that I remember. These are people that like to have an element of themselves, their lives, what's significant to them reflected as a part of the community. But the concept of the Dragon Squad is just something I threw away as a joke. I was mocking the Proud Boys, these like right-wing groups that come up with a name for themselves that they think is cool, but it's actually really lame. And I thought, off the top of my head, I can come up with something that's still kind of lame, but much cooler. And so I threw out Dragon Squad, and I just moved on with my life. But everybody liked it, and so they kept it going, and so we've embraced it. And I think again, this was during the period of the pandemic. I think it was sort of nice to have a renewed sense of community, a feeling that you're a part of something when everything seems so chaotic. And as a result of that, we've got independent artists online streaming, making beautiful digital art of dragons. We've got, we've released a number of pieces of merchandise that people love sending us photos of them. And then, by the way, for me personally, people send me, like you can probably see in the background, like a knitted dragon someone sent me. There's a dragon book they sent me, dragon board games they send me. People have done like custom ironworks, making dragon bottle openers. Like the fans are super invested in diamond art and things like that. And so it's great that they send this stuff. Sometime we're gonna have to set up a wall of all of it. But yeah, it's definitely brought the community a lot closer together. The fact that we were no longer in this big studio, I felt a lot more personally attached to people. It felt very immediate. And I know that I personally needed the connection.
All right, welcome back. Always good to be with you. We got a treat coming up this Saturday. All right, let's put it at full mass. So once a year, I teach you how to develop your own community-based 501c3 organization. This organization can be advocacy-based. You can also create an organization that is policy-based. This course is offered through Beulah Heights University, BHU, and they're offering a 50% scholarship for those who sign up through TYT. I teach this course directly. It is intense. It's one day. It's for a few hours. You see the time right there this Saturday. You learn how to develop your own articles of incorporation regardless of your state. Your 501c3 filing is done in real time, so you know exactly how to do that. So you got that down. And also, how to get your tax ID number and find donors in your local community for your community-based 501c3. I've done this for years, once a year. This is my first time extending it to everyone else outside of the local community here in Atlanta. Would love for you to join. That's the information. 50% scholarship for those who get in now. You can utilize that QR code and make it happen. I look forward to seeing everybody on Saturday. It is live. And yes, you do get a certification for completion of the program. The university sends that out to you. Okay. Got a lot of comments. We'll read as many as I can. Thank you, Chris. I think this is Christine Alyssa Brown. Thank you, Christina Alyssa Brown. Thank you for that. And another one, Christina Alyssa Brown. Thank you again. Says, chat, doc, host, staff, I love you guys and we love you back. Appreciate you for joining. And another, Ms. Brown again. Blessings on 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 some more blessings. There you go. I receive every single one of them back to you. Yeah. So Mr. Kitty is what I call my wife. Okay, Mr. Leavitt. And I believe the yellow snow is lemon flavored. Yep. And Fashion Killer says, for damn well will probably some white boy potheads there that probably took a quick vape and blamed it on him. And Robert Tables, I don't think a single Republican is going to grasp any pearls. They're all in on it. And Kathy, HDHQ 5639, I beg to differ. Hegseth is the head of the Department of War Crimes. There you go. All right. I got something for you. Ladies and gentlemen, I wish Karen would.
You want to call the police on them for having a barbecue on a Sunday.
I feel free! Back off!
I'm going to tell them there's an African-American man threatening my life.
What is this for? What is this
Turn off
for?
your phone. I want to ask you what you're doing.
Turn it off, please.
You.
Okay.
What are you filming me for? What are you filming me for? What are you filming for? Stop! What are you filming for? What are you filming for? What's he filming for?
I called the police.
It's the limp back because he pulled something as he was running. You know, he just got his age. Put it up for him, ass. Let's just state this for the record. Filming in public, legal. As a matter of fact, while you're driving in that car, you have many cameras that are filming you in the process of doing so. Traffic cameras, private businesses have cameras looking at their parking lot. You are in public. Filming is allowed. If you don't want to be filmed in public, all you have to do is not be in public. And then you don't have to be filmed. Running after someone, well, sir, that can get your ass kicked. And if this individual would have been aggressive, the way you were running, sir, and the way you limped back, I don't think you had enough wind in you if something else were to go down. Could have been tragic. So, male Karen chases after person who filmed them in the parking lot of a California Trader Joe's. That's the reason. One male Karen did not want to be filmed whatsoever. He probably has warrants. It's not clear what happened before the interaction, but it does appear he pulled some kind of muscle sprinting across the parking lot as fast as he could to no avail of capture of the individual who was filming him. Sharon, this is one of those instant karma situations where karma said, we're not going to wait on this one. We're going to go ahead and take care of it now. What say you?
Well, Doc, as irresistible as Trader Joe's is, he could have stayed his ass in the house, like you said. He did not have to come out nor attempt to do this Olympic run that he's not in shape for. He's not equipped for that at all. And now he's injured himself and made a fool of himself. He's gone viral and he's on Indisputable. He's on your show for that reason. I am addicted. In fact, I may have even sent that one to the team. I spent the better part of 18 to 20 hours reviewing. There's a whole bunch of these videos out there. It's the latest viral sensation. Yes. I had to pull myself away from it. It's so entertaining.
Addictive.
It's so entertaining. You're chasing the camera, Karen, instead of just driving away.
You're right. Yeah. So, somebody loves you, sir. I hope this is an intervention opportunity. We do this to provide a mirror for you. All right. Got something for you. Double dose.
You want to call the police on them for having a barbecue on a Sunday.
I feel free! Back off!
I'm going to tell them there's an African-American man threatening my life.
POV. You work in a small hotel in La Jolla.
Just like George Floyd. Go ahead. I haven't done anything other than try to pay for a room. You have problems. You have dreadlocks and you're working in La Jolla.
And then she's like a boxer,
Like a boxer? I'm sorry, I've asked to pay for a room. Excuse me? You're trying to, no, you will not tell me who I look like. I'm a white woman who wants to pay for a room and you're discriminating against me. You are discriminating against me, ma'am.
That's enough. That's enough.
Okay,
stop yelling.
No, you need to get away from me. Ma'am, I have to sleep on the street because I can't pay for my room.
You do not have a reservation here.
You do
not have a reservation here.
I know, but I've been asked to pay for a room because I cannot sleep on the beach.
You need to leave.
I will get arrested. And I've been discriminated against. Go ahead, discriminate against the white woman because the black people are in charge now.
Ma'am, I actually think they discriminate against everybody who doesn't have the proper hotel reservation. So you may be correct on that. You may be facing some kind of general discrimination against those who don't have a reservation to stay there. In addition to that, you made sure to mention that, well, the woman or the person has dreadlocks, which I don't know why that was important. I guess it was just as important as you looking like a boxer. Maybe equally important there. But there's more racism. Here it is.
Right, because of George Floyd. The black people get in the room and now I go to sleep on the street. Yeah. You have dreadlocks and you work in La Jolla. Why are you filming me? Send it to ABC. I am a veteran. Stop treating me with disrespect. I've asked for a room so I don't sleep on the street. I drove 2.5 hours and you are, what, you're Caucasian, you're Asian, what are you? I've asked and I'm going to report. You're discriminating. What?
Australian?
I'm not asking about you. I'm asking about her. Why are you fighting me? That's great. I come from America.
Come on. Let's go home.
You are Asian, ma'am. I'm trying to buy a room and I have to sleep on the street and I don't want to get picked up by the police. I've asked to pay for a room. So what are you tooting your horn, Australia? This is America. And I'm not making a scene. I'm telling you, I'm trying to pay for. Why are you filming me? You gonna send it to Beyonce?
No, they're going to send it to Indisputable. Equally as good, I believe. Are you going to send it to Beyonce? You're Asian. You have dreadlocks. I'm a white woman. Ma'am, all you had to do was possibly not be racist. And they could have likely made some accommodations for you at some point. But you want to engage in bigoted behavior and want the individuals that you have ridiculed to provide a courtesy for you. They have the right to refuse service. Sharon, Karonicity runs deep in this one.
I got a question. Who produced the show today? Chappelle? This is Chappelle's show, Doc. I have to tell you, Ronda Rousey's on line one. She's upset with you because you done said this is a boxer. Don't look nothing like a boxer to her. The woman's a fool. She's a fool. And there is no discrimination, but I will tell you something that you'll probably, I don't know if you'll agree or not, but I would like for this woman to actually be discriminated against because she absolutely needs to know what that truly means and what it feels like. In the meantime, she should moonwalk her ass out of that hotel and probably any public establishment because she's unwell. She's unwell, Doc.
Yeah. Well, we got the medicine. And it's called transparency, a little bit of light, some opportunity for correction and reflection. All right. Hopefully you do better in life, ma'am. I'm sure there's somebody who loves you out there. We got more on the other side. It's indisputable stick and stay.
They failed us. And if you're not angry about that, Michael, and any of you out there, then you're damn wrong, because you should be angry. Young Turks.
It was genuine. He was mad.
Cenk Uygur, known online as one of the Young Turks, isn't afraid to throw some punches.
3, 2, 1, fade up.
Cenk the Turk Uygur.
What kind of TV station is this? The whole point is for me to yell and scream and tell you what I think.
It was right out of like Wayne's World.
This guy on this little rinky-dink website is speaking truth to power. We've been averaging 600,000 views a day, beating most of the cable shows in America.
We're the largest online news show in the world.
We're celebrating our 1 billionth view. Television, we're coming.
More politics ahead with Cenk Uygur.
He knew that the MSNBC opportunity was an experiment.
And fill and host beat CNN and headline news combined. At some point, they want to give me a show.
Every single year, that comes out of our paycheck. We put it in, and you're saying we were suckers.
When you, as a host, tells someone you're interviewing to shut up, that's going to raise a red flag.
That guy needed a tall glass of shut up juice.
President Obama's doing the wrong thing, I'm not going to tell you that he's doing the right thing so I can, quote, support him.
He says to me, "You won't believe the meeting that I just had."
The head of MSNBC talked to me.
They want him off the air.
Cenk took an incredible risk.
We're supposed to challenge the government. That's the role of the media. The Democrats and the Republicans are here to screw you. And who on the air is saying it?
I wouldn't have done what he did.
That if I'm going to be a talk show host, I should be the biggest talk show host in the country. I don't think anyone else does it better. I don't think anyone's even close.
Before you know it, I'll be back on your TV doing a national show. I guarantee it.
Magic. It's showtime. And say 45 minutes. I'm hosting today. Now I know what you're thinking, Jerry, your face is already perfect, but you know what? I still need to apply some makeup. I went through this process, right? A few years ago, when I realized that I was gonna have to wear makeup on the show. I had to go through like finding out what my undertones were. You guys know what those are? I got my MAC Cosmetics. It says SPF 15 foundation, broad spectrum. But apparently what I have is red undertones, and I think pores are not supposed to be seen. I need all these things to be confirmed for me. These sponge things don't work for me. You gotta use your hands. This I do. That's how the magic really happens. So we're gonna go through a tutorial how to make the magic happen from beautiful to beautifuler. Let's go. I've already been moisturized. That's the first thing. But moisturization already happened. We go raw. All hands. Pick up. Couple streaks. This is the guy way of putting on makeup. Look at that, dots. There's some shiny points that generally happen. First of all, here we go. You dust here. I'm putting way too much, but you dust. Oh, get the excess off. You don't want chunky powder. There's like a T-zone, I think, right? Mine is a double T-zone. Because I went middle and another cross. Make sure your nose isn't all shiny. People get on you for it. They'll say, that's not a good point you made on there, JR. Your nose is shiny. You guys are picky like that sometimes. I think that's about it, fellas and ladies. See you guys next time. Bitsies.
All right, welcome back. Always good to be with you. I'm going to read as many comments as I can. Greatly appreciate everyone in advance. Forward Country 420. Nobody's going to come between Mel Karen and his Trader Joe's candy cane green tea. Damn it. Willie Lance, Mel Karen won't be eligible for the Olympics. Cray Cray Souffle. I noticed that too. Limp along, Karen. And then the Karen at the hotel. Christina Elisa Brown. I cannot stop laughing at this lady. Yeah. And Velvet Goldmine. WTF is going on with her head? That is some of the craziest ish I've ever seen. That's correct. And DB Hawk 3, thank you for that. It says, let the Whoppy sleep on the street. And she can just go to the police precinct preempted and just say, hey, listen, I don't have anywhere to go. I'm going to just sit here with you guys in the lobby and I'll be out your way in the morning time. All right, real simple. Okay. Don't forget, Noble Mobile, the only wireless service that pays you money to utilize their service less. Very simple. Unlimited data, $50 a month. It's a real game changer. You get cash back for unused data. The less data you use each month, the more cash you get back in your pocket. Not Noble Mobile money, not some discount for a future application. Real, actual cash money. And use it as you choose, all right? Real simple. Utilize that QR code right in front of you, or you can sign up today. Switch now by visiting tyt.com/switch, tyt.com/switch. All right. What if I told you that cops who called Black citizens the N-word just got a cool $2.6 million. No, you heard me correctly. They used the N-word against citizens, and the cops that used the N-word, well, they quietly got paid a whole bunch of money. Welcome, here it is. Put it up for a man. The New Jersey officers who use racial slurs against local Black residents have now received more than $2.6 million to not work. 3 New Jersey cops suspended more than 5 years ago over the use of racial slurs against Black citizens have now received a whopping $2.6 million in tax dollars as they collect their 6-figure salaries, including annual raises, while sitting at home doing no police work whatsoever. Before I get into the rest of this story, we can all agree this is absolutely defunding the police. This is absolutely an extreme injustice against the citizens to have cops, people of public trust, who are openly biased and openly racist, police your community. You do not want that. You do not need that. But to then add injury to insult by giving these individuals $2.6 million of your hard-earned tax dollars in their local community has to be insane. There's more. Even the Clark Township police officer who exposed the slurs through a secret recording was given $400,000 in a settlement to remain quiet. So they're paying people to shut up. They're paying people to keep it quiet. They're not paying because an injustice has happened against them or against the cops. They're paying so the cops don't talk about it. Allowing him to sit at home for 2 years, according to the report, before retiring and collecting his pension. There's more. The 3 Clark Township cops suspended over the racial slurs in 2020 include the police chief referring to Black people as N-words, the chief referring to Black people as N-words, and an internal affairs sergeant referring to a Black suspect as an animal with a monkey head, as well as a captain who retaliated against the whistleblower. The recorded conversations also include Clark Township Mayor Sal Bonacarso referring to Black people as N-words and, well, SPOOKS. That's old school racism right there. Okay? Put him up. Yet, he remained on the job and was reelected in 2024. The mayor. Only to resign earlier this year. And then he had to plead guilty to unrelated corruption charges. He's now on probation, criminal probation. The isms don't run by themselves. But the 3 suspended cops, the chief, the captain, and the sergeant. The chief, the captain, and the sergeant will continue receiving their bloated salaries because they each filed lawsuits that remain pending, blocking the disciplinary process that it usually takes to terminate officers, according to NJ Advanced Media. There's so much more to this story, but this is why over 90% of Americans agree that some form of police reform is required in the U.S. It should not be this difficult to fire known biased, racist, rogue police officers. It should not be this difficult to let go of a cop who has violated at least the moral code of fairness and integrity. And you definitely should not be on the hook as a local community to have to pay for the cop to not work. There's more. April 2022. Sergeant Teston, who was the sergeant in charge of internal affairs, investigate the cops, internal affairs, was arrested in New York City for striking an unarmed stranger in the head with a bottle during a sporting event before fleeing the scene. But the charges were dismissed, according to a 43-page investigative report released in November 2023 by New Jersey Attorney General Matthew J. Platkin. Allegations of abuses of the IA function of a police department and selective enforcement of departmental rules made it impossible, looking in from the outside, to know whether it was a problem of bad apples or a rotten orchard. These allegations necessitated the extraordinary step of superseding an entire police department in the midst of an ongoing global pandemic and a national reckoning on racism, when law enforcement resources were already stretched thin. It all started when Clark police officer Antonio Manata began recording the racial comments, then attempted to file a complaint with the municipal attorney, that's your city attorney, in September 2019, according to court records. However, word got back to the chief, and Antonio Manata was escorted out of the Clark Police Department and told never to return. That is a violation of the Whistleblower Act. In January 2020, he agreed to a $400,000 settlement to keep his mouth shut about the recordings, and an agreement that allowed him to remain employed for another 2 years before retiring as captain to collect his pension. Now, justifiably, if anyone should have received compensation, it should have been this man, because he was wrongly terminated, and he was terminated due to his whistleblower status, and it was retaliation via the government against an individual engaged in a protected pursuit. So he should have been compensated. But they didn't compensate him for their illegal action or violation of his worker rights. They decided to pay him money to keep quiet about the whole thing. There's more. But NJ Advanced Media obtained the recordings and published them in a news article in March 2022, which was when the scandal was made public. This is what they were trying to avoid. But then, by then, the 3 officers had been suspended since July 2020, collecting their paychecks for doing absolutely nothing. All they had to do was keep their mouth shut. The 3 cops filed lawsuits in February 2024, seeking to have the disciplinary charges dismissed against them, which remain pending. The lawsuit accused the township, the county, and the state of violating the 45-day rule. Now, there is a 45-day rule. A state law that they claim requires internal affair charges to be filed within 45 days of launching an investigation. But that is a myth, according to NJ Cops Magazine, a monthly publication by the police union. We're going to get back to that in a moment. History of racism in the township: only 2% of the residents at Clark Township in Union County happen to be African American. Now, here's your 45-day rule. You have 45 days if you investigate someone from start of that investigation to the completion of that investigation to make a conclusive ruling about their status as corrupt, made a mistake, or there's nothing here. They never made a conclusion. Well, the reason they never made a conclusion is because the cops were in on it. What were they in on? They were in on the fact that they knew that their real job was to not say anything and to get paid their money as if they were still cops. So when this became public, they had no incentive to not say anything. And so they wanted the 45-day rule to apply to them, which the fix was already in. The 45-day rule is not a rule. That's a legal rule. It's an administrative policy. They were correct on the policy. They were wrong on the law. But regardless, they knew what was happening since 2020. Now you're in 2022. Everything goes public. 2024. you have a proclamation of wrongdoing, allegation against the county and the city because, well, these police officers, they were still technically under investigation by IA, but there was never an investigation in the beginning. So they get paid money. The person who recorded them get paid money. But the Black folk who were discriminated against, they still lose because there's no remedy for the individuals or investigation for the individuals they may have lied on. They may have utilized evidence in a biased manner. None of these investigations happened because, according to the Attorney General, they could not see beyond the corrupt IA or the internal affairs network that they had present in the department back in the 70s and 90s. It was known as a sundown town. I'm going to talk about that in a moment. Latoya Kidd, a Black woman who has lived in Clark for 3 decades, told NJ Advanced Media in 2022, over the years, I believed it died down, but clearly not. She said regarding the scandal involving police and the mayor. Remember, the mayor was on record for utilizing racial slurs and still got reelected, but had to plead guilty to unrelated corruption charges and is currently on probation. What is a sundown town? A sundown town is a town that if you happen to be a person of color, you were not allowed to be caught in that town when the sun went down. If the sun went down and you were caught in that particular township, you were brutally beaten, arrested, or killed. That is a sundown town, popularized in many southern states by that name, because that reputation was built into the culture of policing. It wasn't the culture of the citizens per se, even though citizens sometimes joined in. It was the culture of the police department to create a sundown town in the southern community primarily. There's more. So Reverend Charles Boyer, a prominent Black pastor who grew up in nearby Plainfield, remembered it as a town to not visit and to avoid trouble. Quote, you knew which towns you were not allowed in and which towns didn't want you there, or you told NJ.com. Today, there still does not appear to be any Black officers working for the Clark Police Department, judging by the department's Facebook page, which has published dozens of photos of its officers over the years. So you have a massive defunding of the police by way of the police. You have significant racial discrimination by way of the police agency. You probably have additional lawsuits that may come. And then you have corruption that stems from the mayor's office to the police department. And not only just the police department, you have the chief, you have the captain, you have the sergeant. You got the 1, 2, 3 in rank and file. And so the officers under them, they're not going to be the standard bearers of any type of measure for the community. They are only there to be standard bearers and measures for each other, which means when they investigate each other, the fix is in, once again, echoed by the Attorney General of that same state. Okay. Sharon, hell of a thing. You know about sundown towns. Obviously, This is one of them, according to many. What say you?
Yeah, it's a shame, but we have got to prioritize this kind of racist behavior. The fix is in. They knew about due process and they twisted it to get rich and quiet. But you said something a couple of times, maybe 3, but at least 2. You said that they voted him in anyway. So This is what the people asked for. And that's the rub. We got to figure out how, even in towns where there's a predominance of racism, how to get these things out, okay? And there must be a way to do it, Doc. I just don't know what it is.
Well, there is, and it's called the federal government, because the only entity typically that can police the police will be a state attorney general or your federal government. We have a federal government that holistically is incapable of actually coming against a police department for being racist. And then the attorney general's office says, we don't have the manpower to investigate this because these guys are so entrenched in bias as it relates to policing. So we'll see what happens in the update. But here's what we know for sure. The citizens are losing, period. The Black citizens, the white citizens, the brown citizens. every taxpayer, you are losing. You deserve better. All right, we got more on the other side. It's indisputable. Stick and stay.
What contributions to the progressive cause are you most proud of? I mean, I don't have super high aspirations for a singular role that I can play in the movement or anything. I try to present myself as what I think that I am, which is a progressive man who is driven by a, I think, well-interrogated and well-organized system of values that I try to stay consistent on, and I demonstrate that that's the sort of life that a person can lead and be successful and be happy and all of that. And that should not need to be done, but there are so many people on the right that are trying to push men in the opposite direction that I want to be able to do that. Along the way, if I can get people to care about some topics that they wouldn't necessarily care about, or that for some men they might think that's not a topic that they should be focused on, that's definitely something that I relish doing. And along the way, I mean, we've been able to introduce people to a lot of candidates. That's been a big part of what we've done. Not all of them necessarily got in office. Probably most of them did not. And a lot of them you might not even remember their names. But it was great to be able to provide people the platform where they had the chance of, making a difference. Obviously AOC and all that, but there's been a lot of great people along the way.
In the bonus episode for the members, we do some inside baseball. We're gonna look at John's desk. Nice little spaceship here. Nerd. But it is kind of look cool. Who has Legos? Oh no. He's taken apart a keyboard. Who has a mouse pad that's this big? He's got a dog with a nose that you can hang something on. You know what this desk screams to me? Nerd. And that's how we like him. We love Johnny Pie. He's got his own personality like everybody does at TYT. Come meet us all in the bonus episodes. TYT.com/team. David Sorrell, Anita Turner.
Adam Green drop by. Charlemagne Patterson, great to have you. It's great to be with you, Chang.
Your show is a great thing. You're informing people. A lot of the shows that I live on, my CNN, my MSNBC, and even Fox, and any of the other shows, NPR, they are so quick to decide that they know what this building means today.
The one thing that I hate that politicians do, they talk about the people they should be talking to.
Do they have any idea that they're the establishment and that they're hated? Or do they not realize that at all?
People are so deeply in their little universe. I think it's very easy to not really question what you're doing.
Voters have a right to ask questions of any nominee, whether they're independent, Republican, or Democrat.
The system is wobbly, that suppresses competition.
How is it the year 2024 and we're still like, maybe they'll talk about paid medical? Like how is that like at one level it's like, good, what we're talking about it now. You're like, it's 2024.
And that's always been the critique, that your critique of us is, well, you guys give good speeches, you put out good tweets, but you're not wielding actual power. Now we're starting to.
My favorite news platform by far. It's not even close.
It's about a country and a principle, and that's what you and I both worked to achieve. And I'm so glad that at least half the battle has now been won.
If you want to go really hear what's going on honestly, you should tune into the Young Turks.
Thanks for doing such a great job. Please keep it up. Hang tough.
Yeah.
That makes me so happy.
Oh, I like making you happy.
I didn't know about that.
This is a happy experience.
Awesome.
You're welcome, YouTube.
Join the Dragon Squad by becoming a YouTube channel member. Click the join button below or sign up on tyt.com/join to get access to fun emojis, a member-only chat, exclusive shop TYT designs, ad-free watching, and so many other amazing perks. Plus, you get bragging rights for being part of the coolest community on the internet and help us drive real positive change in the world. The Dragon Squad awaits, so join today.
All right. Welcome back. Always good to be with you. A lot of comments. We'll read as many as I can. Very thankful for everyone joining the convo. Okay. Yep, Karen Hotel. Love 18 White Girl said, what does George Floyd have to do with a hotel room? That's another, rant. Okay. A cop fired for brutally assaulting a man, filing a complaint on him, speaks out and gives the most insane apology you've ever heard. Put it up full mass. Former Robbins police chief Carl Scott broke his silence only to offer a weak apology for beating a black man who came to the police station to file a complaint. That is it, to simply file a complaint. Let me take you to July 2024. A now former police chief in Robbins, Illinois, spent several minutes beating another black man in the police station interview room while he was there to file a complaint against him. We got it put up for a mass. The civilian showed up to file a complaint against the chief, and the chief decided to hurl fist in this man's face while another cop looked, did nothing, obviously. This was all to stop a complaint from being filed. The altercation wasn't limited to the interview room, but the fight or the beating went throughout the entire department office, meaning other cops, other personnel saw the exact same thing. They saw their police chief commit a heinous crime in front of them. It all began under a sign that reads, Citizens First. You see that? In August, the officer pleaded guilty to battery and was sentenced to 2 years probation. He also lost his badge, ending a decades-long career in law enforcement. That included 23 years. He worked as a federal agent before joining the Robbins Police Department. Following the release of video footage last week, the officer broke his silence on Friday, offering an apology, a cop's apology to the victim. Scott is seen in the video shoving James into the interview room, pushing him against the wall, telling him to sit down. Then he is heard telling another officer in the room to, quote, turn it off, presumably referring to the officer's body camera. Afterwards, he continued to shout at and beat Mr. James. So let me go over the apology. Quote, is a direct quote, okay? Everybody needs to know the why. Not the one-sided narrative, Scott said. The former chief said he understands the video is damning, and he admitted on that day he should have done one thing, walk away. That's something that I could have done. It just didn't happen, he said. Instead, Scott said he let the man, who CBS News Chicago is identifying only as James, he let the man get the best of him. James came into the station filming and refusing to stop recording, Scott said. When he was called down to the lobby, James threatened his family, according to him. We humanized the badge. This is a quote. We humanized the badge. So when we humanize that, then we understand. You understand the frustration, Scott said, choking back tears. Quote, you understand what it took. You understand what's at stake. And then you understand what you're protecting. So then, badge meant nothing at that point. End quote. Quote, it has cost a distrust with the public. It has cost a defaming of my name and has cost a strike against my integrity, something that I hold high, Scott said. Still, Scott can't seem to acknowledge his actual wrongdoing in the apology. Can we put up the chief again? Sir, you're called a law enforcement professional. Emphasis on the word professional, because potentially others may not be professional. Now, I generally don't believe your accusation against the individual that you brutalized when you say that he threatened your family. Because if he threatened your family, I would imagine you would have simply kept those cameras rolling and put his ass under arrest and made his life a living hell by utilizing the actual emphasis of real law enforcement, given he would have made terroristic threats against your family. But since there was no charge of that, and since your credibility is the one that shot to hell, I don't believe you. I believe you lost your temper, and I don't believe it's the first time you've lost your temper. And I don't believe you see yourself even in this moment, given the fact that you can't seem to admit to the wrongdoing that happened. All right. Okay. So sad. Sharon, this man comes into a police department. It says citizens first, which is where you file your citizen's complaint. He goes to file his complaint. He gets pushed and shoved into an interview room by the man he's complaining against. Fist hurled at his face. He gets basically beat up all throughout the department, kicked out, and all of a sudden the former chief says, well, we just humanize the badge sometimes, and the man threatened my family, which once again, I do not believe that happened in that way. What say you?
Yeah, that's a lie. And perhaps with your legal education, you can let me know if there's some kind of luring charge, because I believe the citizens first sign was exactly that. That's how they know where to line them up and beat them, because there is no citizens first in this case. It's despicable. And I kind of was thinking as you were chronicling this disgusting crime, a adjudicated person, a violent assaulter, a felon, standing before a judge, allowed to make a statement to mitigate the circumstances, saying, this got the best of me, something about humanization and nonsense. He would get the book thrown at him, as he should.
Absolutely. You make such a great point. When the judge, typically the defense attorney will say, Your Honor, my client has something to say.
Yes.
And that person will say, Your Honor, I'm wrong. I'm sorry. I take full responsibility for what I've done. This has caused significant harm to my family who didn't deserve this. And I know it was all me. This guy gets to pivot away from responsibility. He's doing an interview, so it's not as if they caught him off guard. He's had time to think about it. This is post his guilty plea, and still refuses to take direct responsibility for his actions. But you make a great point. If anybody else were to say something like that to a judge, they would get the maximum because there was no remorse for what they've done. All right. Okay. Hell of a thing. Cafe workers decided to call the police on a black man, and it's a case of mistaken identity. The black male happens to have a background in journalism. He tells them, I am not the right guy. You got the wrong person. They don't care. Put it a full mask. Interesting saga here. I'm taking you to Massachusetts. Philip Martin, 71-year-old retired investigative reporter, was denied service at a suburban Boston coffee shop last month after he was falsely accused. Now, I want you to think about the accusation. They accused the man of urinating inside the store while being abusive to staff. This is something that I think he would have remembered and would have tried to avoid said establishment if this was him. Quote, are you mistaking me for someone else? The black man posed the question to an employee, accusing him, no, it's you. We have you on videotape. Responded the female barista in Cafe Nero, a European company that has several locations throughout the New England area. Martin arrived at the cafe around 5 p.m. on November 20th to meet Naomi Cooker, a freelance journalist and journalism professor at Regis College. He walked up to the counter to order a tea when he was told he was not going to be served. He then saw the employee calling the police. So he pulled out his own phone to call the police. Quote, "It's something I would do instinctively to try to even out the playing field," Martin told Boston.com, a separate news site owned by the Boston Globe. Quote, "When someone calls the police, it's best to also have some role in that," he added. Cambridge police arrived, spoke to both complainants, and determined there was actually a misunderstanding when the employee accused Martin of doing something he did not do. The cops told employees that Martin was not the man who had created havoc inside the store a week earlier. Martin was allowed to stay, but never received the tea he ordered, was never served. Quote, "I did not want anyone to have the satisfaction of having kicked me out," he told the Boston Globe. Quote, "We didn't buy anything subsequent to that, but we did stay because the notion of leaving, to me, would have been a victory for that type of prejudice," he said. He left after 10 minutes and has since filed complaints with the Massachusetts Commission Against Discrimination and Cambridge Human Rights Commission, describing the incident as humiliating. Cafe Nero has since issued a public apology to the former investigative reporter, journalist, and has vowed to train its employees and how not to falsely accuse Black people of crime. Quote, "This was a genuine case of mistaken identity due to the close similarity of height, build, and style of beard and glasses with the customer who had been responsible for significant antisocial behavior previously," a Cafe Nero spokesperson told Boston.com. Quote, "While it is not acceptable to confuse any customer with another, the prior incident was traumatic for the barista involved, and it triggered her response," end quote. However, Martin, who has seen a photo of the Black man accused of terrorizing employees, said they look nothing alike because the other man is younger, happens to be light-complected, a Black male with a scruffy beard. Quote, "I looked at the photo and I told them, he looks nothing like me," Martin told Boston.com. This was not a doppelganger in the least, end quote. Martin, who spent 15 years working for GBH, a news station in Boston formerly known as WGBH, has also written articles on Black people getting falsely accused, something he said would happen often to him as a teenager growing up in Detroit during the 1960s. Quote, "That's the type of thing that occurred in my youth more than once, and it obviously had nothing to do with me," end quote. Martin said in an interview with the Boston Globe, quote, "In the world of race and discrimination, someone who looks like you is pervasive. These things are predicated on stereotype and are the logical conclusion of stereotypes, meaning false accusation." Martin graduated with a master's degree from the Fletcher School of Law and Diplomacy at Tufts University, Massachusetts, during the early 1980s, according to the Bay State Banner, which reported on his retirement in October. He furthered his education at Harvard University in 1997, focusing on the international protection of human rights before becoming NPR's first national correspondent, focused on race in 1998. Working for NPR until 2006, according to his LinkedIn page, he began working at WGBH News in 2010 as a senior investigative reporter, earning several journalism awards, and was also inducted into the Massachusetts Broadcasters Hall of Fame. They picked the wrong one or the right one, depending on your perspective. How ironic for this to happen to a seasoned professional investigative journalist who specializes in race or discrimination stories, but this to happen to him while he's meeting a professor of journalism at said establishment. Sharing thoughts here.
Look, the fact that you want to stamp out crime or a criminal nuisance, this is a vile act, whatever was alleged to have gone on by someone else, not him, I get it. But the fact that it seems to be this entitlement, this privilege, in this case, perhaps by a white woman who believes once she says you're the person, you're the person. And it doesn't work like that, homie. At least it's not supposed to. And now look, you got the right one. You got the right one.
Yeah, and I wonder, was there somebody to corroborate prior to say, yeah,
Don't
this
need
is
it.
the person? Was there identification made to the previous person where you could at least check the ID of the person you think is in question? Just a lot of
Hey,
different
Doc.
protocols you should follow before doing
Sure.
this.
But some people, when you are a white woman in America, from Emmett Till, before and after, I understand this was about urinating, but it's the same concept. And it is sickening. It really is. Why follow protocols, Doc? Why?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. All right, Sharon, always fascinating to have your analysis on the program. Always brilliant as usual. Tell people how they can follow you. Check out your great work.
Rebel HQ just did another installment today. These police infractions, again, the entitlement, it's just on and on. So I hope people will watch it. Let me know what you think. At Sharon Reed Live across all platforms. Doc, I thank you so much.
I thank you as always. All right, remember, take care of yourselves, take care of each other, take care of the planet. Remember, the truth is always indisputable.